Hello, my lovely friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. In this video, I'm going to be answering some more of your questions about mediumship. So I have my iPad here and I'm ready to go. But first, for those that are new here, my name is Mel. I am a medium and an energy healer, and I love to create videos about spirituality, and I'd really appreciate it if you decided to join the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into the questions. What I'm going to do is timestamp down below each question so that you can skip directly to the one that you're most interested in. There's nothing I can't stand more than sitting through an hour-long video and realizing they never answered the question you were seeking. So I won't do that to you. You can look down below and see if your question is here, and if it's not, leave it in the comments and I'll answer it in the next one. So our first question here is, how come some spirits come through more often and others don't? Well, this is going to be very unique to each person and each spirit, so I really couldn't give you the exact answer. But some of the things that I have seen through my mediumship journey and through reading for spirit is that some don't come through because your client or the person in front of you that you're reading for doesn't know much about them. So me, for example, my dad's dad died when I was 6 years old. I literally have one memory of him and nothing else. So if he came through to a medium, I wouldn't be able to validate anything. But then there's also been a time where my grandfather has come through, and I believe he's only ever come through 3 times in all the years that I have been practicing and working with other mediums, where he mentioned this one memory that I have of him, and all the other times that he came through, I couldn't understand anything that the medium was giving me because I didn't really know him. I know who he is, I know what he looks like, so I could validate that it was him, but everything else didn't really make sense. So for me, a lot of times spirits don't come through because you don't have that deep of a connection with them, whereas like my dad, he comes through all the time because I have a very deep connection to him. I know everything about him. I know everything about his life. So it's easier for that connection to come through for me and for someone who's reading for me. There's also times where when we're on the other side, we're receiving healing. And I can say, for example, I've done readings on people who were abusive to their family members, and I've been shown them in bright white lighted rooms getting healing and receiving love and unconditional love from their guides or from angels. So I know that on the other side, we're receiving healing for the life that we lived, healing for our soul. So there's times where maybe they can't come through because they are getting healing. Sometimes they don't come through because they've already come through a dozen other times, and it's like, what else can we say at this point? So if you're somebody that gets lots of readings, which I understand, when my dad was first killed, I wanted to be with a medium every second of every day. But after you've gotten so many readings from the same spirit, let's say, it's hard for them to come through because there's really nothing else for them to say except for things that might have happened in your life. So that could be something else. But again, there's so many multitude of reasons why some spirits come and some don't. What I would suggest is to meditate on that and try to connect to your family and see what information you get from them, because they can and they will communicate with you as well. In fact, you have a strong bond with your family and a strong connection through your DNA, whether you knew them or not. Like my grandfather, I have a strong connection with him through his DNA. So if you wanted to meditate and connect with them, you can do that as well. The next question, can I still connect to my loved ones if they have reincarnated? I love this question so much. I think about this too, wondering if my dad would reincarnate, if I could still connect to him. The answer to that is going to be 100% yes. So we have a higher self connected to us. Our soul is here in this body, but it's also still very much connected to the spirit world, to heaven, if you will. So there's always a part of you that is accessible to the spirit world, accessible to a medium. So if somebody has reincarnated into another physical body, they still have an aspect of themselves in heaven, in the spirit world, that can be connected to. And our higher self knows everything about every life we've ever lived, knows all of the memories, all the things that we as a client or we as somebody getting read for would want to know and hear from. So reincarnation does not stop that connection. It does not stop a medium from being able to connect to a life that you as a client or you as somebody getting a reading would be able to know. So reincarnation does not stop that at all. That's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. The next one is, what do I do if someone comes through who hurt me physically or emotionally in this lifetime? So this is deeply ethical within the medium themselves. I have been where I was giving a reading to somebody and their father came through. He was very emotionally and mentally abusive to his daughter who I had had in front of me. And I remember when he came through, he himself didn't come right away. He kind of stood back and waited, and I knew he was there. I could feel him there. And when I had said to his daughter, there's a gentleman here, this is kind of what I'm getting, but he's not stepping forward. I feel as if he's afraid to come forward. And she knew exactly who he was and why he wasn't coming forward very strongly, like kind of staying in the background. And it's because he was not a good father to her. He did terrible things to her mentally and emotionally, even so much as abandoning her when she was younger and just moving on with his life. And so in those moments, it is incredibly unethical for a medium to continue giving that reading without asking the client first. So if you're watching this and you're the medium, right then and there, you would stop the reading and confirm with your client first. Are they comfortable with this? Is this okay? Would you like this person to step back or go away? As the medium, you can ask that spirit, you need to leave, you've got to go, my client is not interested, and they will leave. They do respect that. But the reading should stop right then and there if your client is having a hesitation, or they could even be having an anxious moment. Stop the reading and ask them if it's okay. If they don't want to connect to that person, ask them to go. If they do, go slowly with it. Say things as slowly as you can. I know as a medium, things just come like this, and you're trying to process. Write it down if you have to, but go slow for your client. If you're the client and you're with a medium, make sure that you tell them to stop if you want them to. That is your absolute right. Whether you're here in the physical world or in the spirit world, you should never have to have a boundary crossed by somebody you don't want to talk to. So it's okay to say to the medium, this is a person that I don't want to talk to, or I don't want to, communicate with or hear from. Could you please ask them to leave? And the medium can and will do that, okay? Next question, how do you handle getting a no? It makes me feel stupid. We have all been there. And I start shutting down, and then the reading just goes downhill from there. Okay, so there's a few things that you can do. Getting a no is normal. So I'm not sure if you've heard of Sylvia Brown, but she is also another psychic and a medium. And she even said, and it's so true, that not every psychic or medium is going to be right 100% of the time. So you're going to get a no. Also, with being a medium, it's not like the spirit is here saying, my favorite color is black. They're going to show you black, and you're like, okay, black, what is that? You as the medium have to interpret that information. You as a medium have to understand that information. So you could very well interpret it wrong. You could see black and think of a void. You could see black and think of something completely off topic, but don't let it shut you down, okay? If your client says, well, no, I don't know what that means, ask your client to just kind of pause for a second while you take a deep breath and go back to that person and ask them to show it to you in a different way. Maybe they're going to show you a crayon this time. Okay, black, favorite color. Maybe you're just interpreting it wrong. So getting a no does not mean we're done here. It just means take a deep breath and go back and ask to get the information in a different way. Maybe you felt the information, but it didn't make sense to you, ask to see it visually, ask to hear it in your mind. Any different way to get the information so that it doesn't just stop you. Now, I know as a medium, when you get a no and people are like, they're staring at you, waiting for results, waiting for information, and you get that no and you just feel defeated, just know that the reading doesn't have to stop there. That no could be no for that piece of information, but they could also figure it out later. So maybe you interpreted it wrong, go back and ask, and if you give it again and it's still no, just let your client know, this might make sense later, you might be able to understand this later, keep this in the back of your mind, kind of a thing. I can't tell you how many times I have had a reading where the client was like, no, that is absolutely not true. I even had one person, I want my money back, this is ridiculous. Of course I refunded their money. 6 months later, they sent me a message that says, oh my God, I'm giving you your money back. Everything you said came true, but they didn't understand it at the time. So that might be few and far between where they reach back out to you, but no does not mean no right then and there. They might understand it later, or you might just need to go back and get the information in a different way so that you can understand. Now, the other part of this question is talking about, feeling stupid and shutting down. That's going to be normal, whether you're a medium or not. If you have somebody in front of you that is looking at you, you're going to feel judged, no matter if you're a medium or not. The part that I want to talk about is where you feel like you're going to shut down. That part is actually going to ruin the connection that you have with spirit. So what I definitely suggest is to just meditate more and build yourself up more, work with your spirit team more on how to establish a strong connection, do a lot more practice reading so that you can feel what certain things feel like. You're not going to know what they feel like or look like or know or hear like in your own mind until you've experienced it. At least that's how I feel. So do more practice readings to build your confidence up and to build that mediumship muscle up so that you don't feel shut down when you get a no, because you're going to. Even as a professional medium, I still get no's. Now, that doesn't mean every client's going to come back and say, yeah, it was true. A lot of them don't, but the ones that do, it just really makes you feel good. But don't allow that no to shut you down. Let's see the next one here. How often should you be sitting in the power? So I like to advise my students who are in my mediumship course, Soul Care Mediumship. The link is down below. I like to advise them to do it when they can. Don't put pressure on yourself to sit in the power, because then you're going to feel defeated if you don't do it, and you're going to feel not good enough. You're going to feel anxious or stressed out. Fit it in where and however you can. If you can do 5 minutes, that's perfect. Anything that you can do to build the power up within you, get your mind quiet and establish a connection, you're doing a great job. Now, I do like to sit sometimes for 30 or 45 minutes when I have time, but like I suggest to my students in my mediumship course, don't beat yourself up if you can't always sit in the power. We are in this physical body, in this physical world. We still have to work, pay bills, take care of our children, make food, make lunches. So, of course, it's understandable that you can't always do it in a certain time or even for a certain time. As I like to say, it doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out production. If you can get in 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, as long as you're trying to sit and keep building it up, that's perfect. Now, don't go a whole month without sitting in the power. Try to at least, if you can, get it in 3 times a week. 5 to 10 minutes, try to build it up as much as you can, but don't put the pressure on yourself of having to sit in the power, because when you don't have the time, you're going to feel guilty. It's just like when you're on a diet, if you're trying to count calories and you eat over, that's all you think about. Oh, I didn't do it. I didn't do it right. I'm wrong for this. I am a bad person for this. That's absolutely not true, and I don't want you to get into that trap when you're doing sitting in the power. So finding the time, 5 to 10 minutes, even in the morning, if it's the first thing you do in the morning for 5 minutes, anybody can do that. Even trying to just, when you first sit up, have that be part of your practice, that's really going to benefit you. So just don't put the pressure on yourself to make sure that it's this long amount of time, or I have to do it every day at this time. Fit it in when you can. And then the last one I have here is I can't afford courses. What can I do to learn? Okay, so I do have a mediumship course. Again, the link is down below in the description. Soul Care Mediumship. I have payment plans within my course, so you don't have to pay the whole amount up front. I know for me, I'm a single mom. I can't just drop a bunch of money at once. I have it set up to where you can pay monthly increments. Now, for those of you that still aren't able to do that, I do always highly suggest, and I have from the beginning, taking a mediumship course and taking more than one, because each teacher, each mentor, each course is going to provide you something different, a different way to do things, a different way to approach things, a different way to look at mediumship. So taking more than one course with more than one mentor, I highly encourage. But if you don't have the financial availability at the moment to do that, there are so many amazing books. I have a video of which books I recommend for mediumship. I will link that below as well. And all the videos here on my YouTube are free that you can research and learn what to do. But definitely I do suggest getting yourself to a point where you can take a course, because the mediumship courses, of course, they dive much, much deeper than what you could get on a free YouTube video. But in the meantime, those videos are going to be amazing for you. You can join Facebook groups. I do have my own group for mediums to practice in. That's going to be in the comments. I'll pin it in the comments. You can join Facebook groups to practice your mediumship reading, to learn about it, read the books, and of course, watch the free videos. That's all the questions I have for today. Thank you so much for being here. If you have a question that you would like featured on the channel, make sure to leave it down in the comments, and your question will be answered in the next video. Thank you again so much for tuning in. I'll see you later, my lovely friend.